Hello and welcome everyone in another episode of Researchers Celebrity. Today we have Dr. Neha with us. A brief introduction about Dr. Neha. She has done her bachelor's in agricultural honors from Khalsa College, Amritsar, and for masters she attended Punjab Agricultural University, Ludhiana, where she studied soil sciences, and then for PhD she moved to New Zealand and attended Massey University, where the topic was soil microbiology. After her postdoctoral training at Landcare Research Institute in New Zealand, currently she is a lecturer for soil and environmental sciences in Massey University. With this brief introduction, I would like to say thank you so much, Dr. Neha, for taking time out from your busy schedule.
Thanks to you for inviting me to present my journey from PhD till here. Yes.
Thanks for your kind words. We always start our conversation that how and when you decided that you want to become a researcher.
Yeah, it's a very difficult question to answer, like how and when I decided. I think research selected me. It's the other way around. Because when uh, uh, when I was little, I was, I think it started with my parents and my grandparents. I used to follow them a lot, especially when I used to go to my hometown. I'm from Bihar, and but my father was working in Air Force, so we used to travel a lot because he would get transferred every 3 to 4 years. So I never stayed in Bihar, but every summer vacation we would go back home in our hometown. And during that time, I used to follow my grandparents, my grandfather especially, a lot. And he used to teach us a lot of things about life, English grammar, maths, and all those things. And he was a Ayurvedic doctor by himself, so he was connected to science, and he used to like gardening a lot. So I used to follow him a lot around our home garden, our kitchen garden. What is he planting? What is he harvesting? How is he taking care of plants? So my interest in plants started from there. And then one day, when I was in class 4, my mother was teaching me. My mother is not from science background, she is from sociology background, but she's a teacher herself, so she used to teach primary kids. So once she was teaching me about plants, and she uprooted a, marigold plant from our garden, and she showed me, like, this is leaf, this is root, these are branches, and this is flower. So that connected me, and because I could see it practically, because looking at picture in the book, I may not have related so much, but when she took it out of the soil, and then when I saw the live plant, so I got connected to that. And also, gardening with my grandfather, I was very much interested in gardening as well. So my mom would give me seeds to plant in the kitchen garden. So even when they are sleeping on Sunday morning, I'll just come out and I'll dig some hole in the. I knew that what my dad is going to plant today, because he has got seeds and fertilizer in the store. So I'll just take out the seed and I'll plant them. And then every evening, I would like to water them. And it used to give me pleasure to see that plant coming out of the soil, and then plant is growing. So my interest with planting and growing food, I think, started quite early. But when I was about to do my graduation, but before that, like every other household in India or every other middle class parents, their aspiration is that their child should either be a doctor or an engineer. So, uh, I took biology and maths when I was in class 11, because my father wanted me to take both biology and maths, although I wasn't very good in maths, and I liked biology a lot out of all the science subjects. So, but at the end of class 11, I decided that I'm not going to study mathematics anymore because it's too difficult for me. So I dropped mathematics in at the end of class 11. I could barely pass in mathematics in class 11. So in class 12, I only took biology, chemistry, and physics. I liked biology a lot, so I scored highest in biology. Physics and chemistry, not so much, because it was also depend. It, our interest is also dependent on how good our teachers are when they are teaching us in those years. So my biology teacher was very good, but my chemistry and physics teachers were not good. So I was not at all interested in chemistry and physics, but I was very good in biology, especially in plant science. I was really good. Maybe my unconscious connection with the plants, it helped me to be curious about plant and learn more about plant. So as most of the kids in our generation, I wanted to become a doctor. So after class 12, when I couldn't clear the entrance test, then like many of my friends, I dropped out of the school. So I took 1 year of gap year, and I attended coaching classes, and then I prepared for medical exam. But I couldn't clear medical exam even after taking 1 year of gap year. Then it was the time to decide, should I devote 1 more year for coaching classes and get ready for medical exam for next year, or should I start getting admission in graduation? At that time, I was in Amritsar. But I thought that I don't want to do normal graduation, normal BSc. I don't want to end up in that bheed of all that graduates just doing botany or zoology. I wanted to do something different. Then somebody suggested me that why don't you try for BSc agriculture? It is different, but and it is graduation and it is specialized. So why don't you try for that? And when I was in Amritsar, based on your marks in the Punjab medical test, you could get admission in BSc agriculture as well. So if your rank is quite low for not getting admission in medical, but that marks, you can get admission in the BSc agriculture. And when I went there, like I was the highest scorer to get admission in that. So when I went there, I was very scared whether they will take me or not. And they said, if we don't take students like you, then who are going to come and study here? You have scored such a good mark. Because by that time, students, they get so much demoralized that I'm not good for anything. I didn't get selected for this exam. I didn't get selected for this exam. I didn't score because at that time, I like all of us, we used to fill up. Anybody would suggest, why don't you try for this medical exam? Why don't you try for this? Why don't you try for Karnataka? Why don't you try for Rajasthan? So we would fill all the forms and we'll travel everywhere to give exam. And then by the end of the test, when you don't get selected anywhere, then it's very demoralizing. Like what do we do? We are good for nothing. But getting admission in BSc agriculture, that changed my life. So then I could see that my interest in plant science. So it helped me to do well in BSc agriculture. And when I was in BSc agriculture, still I wanted to do something different. Everybody else, because in the final year we had to select a specialization course where you can specialize and you can do your masters in that. Everybody else was selecting agronomy, which is the crop science, or horticulture, which is fruit science, or vegetable, which is the vegetable science. Or some of them were selecting economics. I said, no, I don't want to go in that because a lot of people would be there. I want to do something different. So I went into soil science. I said, I want to study something different. Like that's where the plants grow. So there would be something different to study there. Plant science, everybody is studying plant science. I don't want to do that. So I started my journey of soil science from there. When I came to, because that Khalsa College was very small, faculty was very small. You could, all you could do is you could just cram pages after pages and then just go in the exam and just rewrite everything. I wasn't learning anything new, or so I had to do something more to learn about that or to proceed further. Then I decided to do my master's from Punjab Agriculture University because I heard that soil science department over there is very good. So then I sit for the entrance exam. So as most a lot of people, they don't go for soil science because kids, they don't like soil science because it is purely chemistry based or physics based. There's no very little biology there that we study. So it's more geography, physics, and chemistry that we have to study soil science. So I was lucky, there were not many, there wasn't much competition in soil science, so I got selected for in master. Then when I went to PAU, then like my uh, uh, what to say, so my idea about research, it started from there. I was ignorant. Then when I went to that university, I saw that there are students from Sri Lanka, there are students from Africa. So there are students from all over India, from Bengal, from Bihar, from South India. They all come here and they are doing different type of research. So it's not the same thing. It's not only that adding fertilizer and then just looking at what's happening uh, in the crop. They were also doing genetic modification in the plants and studying genetics and all that. So uh, sparked something in my research life, and then from there I start. But still, it was all like what others are doing, because my supervisor, he was just, because we have to write a proposal, or they used to call it synopsis there, and he just gave me his ex students synopsis and said, just copy this, go and copy this, just change few things here and there and just copy this and bring it to me, and I'll just put it in the system. So it was just what others are doing, I was just following that. Still I wasn't doing what I wanted to do, or I wasn't sure, like how to do research independently or something, because I was just in masters, and we didn't have any industrial training or anything in PAU, or especially in soil science. So whatever we did, we just did over there. But a lot of things I had to troubleshoot on my own, because my supervisor was nowhere. Because he just told me, okay, this is the list of experiments which you need to do. Now you go and do it. Because he was head of the department, he didn't have time for me. He never used to come and see what I'm doing in the lab. I would just have to go and talk to my seniors. Have you done this analysis? Have you run this machine? How does the results look like? What should be the end point? My color, the color of the reagent is pink in color. So
I think we, yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure.
yeah, so I had to redo a lot of experiments on my own, trying this, trying that, because and at that time we didn't have even proper equipment to do
Uh,
things. So a lot of time we had to follow that jugaad thing. Okay,
mm.
try this, put this in this, and cover it with this, and just try it if it's working or not. So we had to follow that kind of thing. So I somehow I completed my masters, and then I wanted to do something more, because most of my fellow students, they were going to US to do their PhD and to do because I don't know, from childhood, because my parents, they put me in my brain that you need to become a doctor, you need to become a doctor. So I wanted to have doctor in front of my name. But when I couldn't get through medical, then when I was in undergrad, when I was doing BSc agriculture, then I came to know that after PhD also you can put doctor. Then I said, okay, I want to do PhD and I want to have that doctor in front of my name. If not medical doctor, at least I can be other doctor, but I would be Dr. Neha Jha. I want that thing. Now I don't have any craze for Dr. Neha Jha. If somebody calls me Dr. Neha Jha, I feel, no, just call me Neha. It's okay. No, I don't need to put doctor in front of my name. But at that time, I was very determined that I want doctor in front of me. But my parents, they were so determined to get me married first. Right from undergrads, they wanted to get me married first and then do whatever you want to. Yeah, but I wanted to do PhD, but my father was completely against it. He said, you have done masters, now you get married, whatever you want to do, you can do it. If your husband and your in-laws permit, then you can do that. So after masters, I had to get married. I got married. So my husband at that time, he was in Hyderabad. So from Punjab, I went to Hyderabad. And when I went to Hyderabad, everything stopped because if I wanted to do research or if I wanted to work in agriculture, they were looking for people who knew Telugu language because there is regional thing as well. You can't get into the state government because even when I was in Punjab, if I wanted to go into bank or if I wanted to get into government organization, I need to know Punjabi. Although I knew reading and writing Punjabi, but they wanted a certificate that you have passed 10th class level of Punjabi. So some of my friends who wanted to stay in Punjab, they had to write 10th class Punjabi exam and get that certificate. Same thing was in Hyderabad. I need to know Telugu to work over there. But it was hard for me to learn Telugu and then write exam and then so at that time, I was just working in because I was free at home, nothing to do. So I was just working in BPO. But then I thought, I want to do PhD. How do I do PhD? It's a Telugu speaking state here. So I wrote SRF, GRF exams as well, but I didn't get selected for that. Maybe I wasn't prepared. So, and then somebody suggested me, then why don't you apply for PhD abroad? But I didn't have enough money because to go to and do PhD in US at that time, people needed 11 lakh, 18 lakh rupees. I didn't have 11 lakh or 18 lakh rupees. Then I had a couple of my friends here in New Zealand who just came after doing their graduation. Then they suggested me, why don't you come to New Zealand? I said, what's over there? They said, it's cheaper to do PhD here because they charge domestic fee. They don't charge international fee. And if you have scholarship, if you apply for any scholarship, and if you get scholarship, then it's you don't even have to pay any tuition fee. Then it's just your expense that you need to manage. Then I started seriously thinking about it. Then I started preparing for IELTS, and then I cleared my IELTS, and then I started applying for universities here, scholarship here, and then I got this scholarship, and then I came here to do PhD. But when I came here, I was just clueless. Like, how am I going to do my research? The only thing I knew was that in PhD, I need to do a lot of hard work because I saw my seniors who were doing PhD back in PAU. They used to come early in the lab and they used to go late in the night, or even they had no weekend, nothing. And even in hostel rooms, they used to just study and write because uh, uh, um, in that's the same thing in US as well, and in India they have to write exams as well in PhD and do that comprehensive viva or something which they call. So every year they have to do that. But in New Zealand we don't have any coursework in PhD. It's entirely research based. So there was no coursework to do. Just do your research. So you should have a research plan and do research. So, but I only thing I knew that I have to do hard work. That's what when I was getting admission here, I told my husband that I have to work really, really hard when I'm doing my PhD. So, but I'm prepared to do that hard work. The other thing which I didn't know about it that you have to face your failures as well, because every time what you will plan, it's not going to work. I used to think that it's only hard work. I can work 12 hours, 16 hours. That's not a problem. I can work in the weekends as well. If I had to read hundreds of papers, I'll read that. If I have to write, if I have to stay up all night, I can do that. That's fine. But what I was not prepared for was the setbacks. What if you do everything meticulously, you read the papers, you follow the protocol, and you do everything what is there in the protocol, and still things don't work? What do you do after that? So that happened to me a lot during my PhD. And it's good uh, that I didn't have, even in my PhD, I didn't have much support from my supervisor. My supervisor was the Indian origin in my PhD, but I didn't have very good relationship with my supervisor. He used to think that I'm not a very good student, and he used to make me believe that I'm not a very good student. And he never used to support me. Like, I had no help from any of the lab staff or any of the farm staff, because in my research, in my field of research, we have to go out in the farm a lot and collect soil samples from there. So most of the times I had to go out on my own and work in the field on my own. And at that time I was new here. I didn't know all the rules and everything. I didn't fight for it, that I need to have some support. I can't do it on my own, but I just carried on with it. But later on, I came to know that I could have used lab staff anytime, or I could have used farm staff to help me. But my supervisor, he didn't tell me about all those things. So it was really hard to work with him. And the work which I was doing, it was new to me, because I had worked with soil chemistry. I have done chemical analysis. But I had to take gas samples coming out of the soil, and also I had to do the DNA extraction of soil and then run qPCR with that, which I never did. I did soil microbiology because I just grew some bacteria in petri dishes. That's what I did in my master's. But I have never worked with DNA and did PCR. And to standardize those protocols, it took me a long time, because I had to run those again and again and again and again, and I had to persevere and do that. And I had no help from my supervisor. So it took me quite a long time to finish my experiments, which I planned, but I kept going. My other peers, my other fellow PhD students who had help from their supervisors, or sometimes their supervisors, what they used to do, they used to hire some interns who would help them in lab work. If not in lab work, at least washing and those repetitive works, which a student can still leave and focus on their analysis and writing. And they had help from interns, but I had no help. So it took me, so instead of finishing my PhD in 3 years, I finished my PhD in 4.5 years. But towards the end of finishing my PhD, I was like getting, like it was taking a toll on me, or I was getting very depressed, because everybody who started with me, they have already finished, submitted their thesis, and I'm still writing my thesis. So and every time you go out in the community or somewhere, everybody is asking, so how is your PhD going? When are you submitting? And every time you say, I think next month I'll be submitting it. But next month, it became 1 year that after that I submitted my thesis. But it was all good. It was a good learning experience for me, but it made me quite independent, because planning and doing my work and keeping at it, even if things are not working, it helped me a lot. And then when I started my postdoc, I was completely independent. I could plan my work, I could execute it, I could run the experiments for how long it is planned, I could take my samples, I could analyze them, I could look at the results, and I could write it and everything. So I was quite independent just after finishing my PhD, and that helped me a lot. And also, when things were not working, I had to talk to a lot of people, because one thing my supervisor would always advise: go and talk to people, find somebody. Because my supervisor didn't have any experience with molecular biology, so he didn't know anything about it. So he would say, just find some expert in the university, or we have a lot of research institutes nearby. Send them an email, ask them what you want to discuss, and then go and talk to them, discuss your results to them, ask them, is it right or not, or how can you fix it. So that I used to go and talk to a lot of people who I didn't know, and I used to discuss what's going wrong with my. So it helped me in building relationship, networking, and talking to people, and it built confidence in me. So it was, and now I think that about it, and then I think that it's a good thing.
Absolutely.
I used to feel very bad, but it turned out.
No, I think the way you have looked at and faced your challenges and turned into opportunity, I think that is the best way how any and every single researcher should approach. Like as you said, that they put everything on you, and then when you started your postdoc, you realized that you were way ahead of all your peers because you have done built things from scratch, and this is how
Yes.
it works. So
Yes.
now when we do talk about globally, not only in India but everywhere else, that women in STEM, what were your experiences? Because you shared that your family was like, okay, first get married and then do whatever you want.
Yes.
Now from that point to now, how things has been changed, and what you can suggest to the girls who are actually now facing that.
Actually, the thing is that in in the field which I am in agriculture, to begin with, there were very little girls. Sorry, little girls. I mean to say, very less number of girls in my class. Even from graduation, we were only 10 girls, and there were 50 boys in the class. So, and also even now in my department, there are very few women in agriculture, especially in soil science. There are a lot of men in my department, and since we have very less number of girls, so my colleagues even internationally and here as well, they're all males. I'm used to working with males more now because in my field there are very less number of women in agriculture and in soil science as well. You will find a lot of women in plant science and horticulture, but in soil science there are very less number of women.
Mhm,
But that shouldn't discourage women to come forward. Yes,
mhm.
I think they should start from the big. Like I gave up when my family was forcing me that no, you should get married and do whatever you want later on. Sometimes some women they will not find that opportunity. Parents think that after getting married they will women will have their own voice when they go to their own house, but most of the times that's not the case. Maybe in-laws uh, at the time of marriage they would say, oh yes, yes, we will support her and whatever she wants to do, but maybe later on they'll say, oh no, why are you going back to studies again? Stay home, make kids and take care of kids and just stay home. You don't need to go back. But I think women should start like I wouldn't say revolting, but they should speak up, and they need to fight for themselves and come forward and say that no, I need to do this and I'll do it now. No, nobody
Absolutely.
knows what's going to happen later on. But I'm lucky in that sense that my husband supports me a lot. So I haven't given up anything even after having two kids. So I have been working and also I have been following my hobbies as well. I like dancing, so I haven't given up dancing. So I do go for my dance classes twice a week or thrice a week when I have to go. So even raising kids and following my hobbies, I haven't stopped anything, because I have heard from a lot of women that after having kids, taking care of kids, they just stopped whatever they were doing before, and they just live their kids' life. And then later on in life, then they realize that now kids have grown up, they have left the house. Now what do? I have nothing else to do. But if you're following your interest from the beginning and you're taking it with you, and then later on you can just continue doing that, so you will not feel that hollow. So yeah, I'm
Absolutely.
lucky to have a good family who supports me.
That's true. I wish like more there are more people who can support their ambitious partner. So
Yes,
speaking of the things you mentioned, that in the PhD, what you were not prepared for because of like very minimal or lack of exposure to research, all those field
yes,
experiments,
yes,
which brings stress, depression, and everything else, all the negativity in research is probably
yes,
because of those field experiments. And you
yes.
mentioned about the hobbies. So, how you dealt with those failed experiments, those challenges, and then how you overcome those challenges?
I don't know, maybe because yeah, I see this thing in a lot of my students. If something doesn't work, they get depressed very soon, and then they start to give up. But maybe I was mentally very strong, maybe to begin with, because we come from Indian background, and also from defense background, where the kids have to change their school every 3 to 4 years, change their friends every 3 to 4 years. So maybe we become more resilient to changes. So when my experiments were uh, failed, I would go back and try to make changes in what I have done. And trust me, I have run some experiments 8 to 10 times to make it perfect, to make it work. Just going back and changing things and doing again, doing again, doing again. I didn't stop. So it was perseverance. It was just doing things again and again. Okay, if this is not working, I'll try this. If this is not working, I try. But because this thing happened with me in master's research as well, I did all my planned work. There was only one last experiment which I had to do, but it wasn't working for me because I didn't have the right equipment. I had to boil that chemical at certain temperature for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, but I didn't have a proper equipment to boil that thing. So I was trying water bath, hot water bath, or I didn't have a container in which I could put that liquid and boil it in. So I was trying water bath, it was spilling. I tried autoclave, it didn't work in that. I used pressure cooker, it didn't work in that. So I tried a lot of things, but it wasn't working. So maybe I had that experience in my mind that I have to keep trying it until it happens. So it's the same thing worked for me in PhD as well. So I used to keep trying, and I didn't give up. Maybe I I had setbacks. I was sad about it, but I wasn't ever depressed about it that much. And maybe somewhere in my mind, I have had that hope that it will work. I need to keep trying. It will work. I need to keep trying. Yeah. Maybe give it another chance. Maybe give it another chance. And then it did. So I was really happy with that. But it took me, I think, 6 to 7 months for me. So I was stuck on that work for 6 to 7 months, but I didn't give up. And so, although it delayed my work, but eventually it happened. Yeah.
Absolutely. And as you said, that perseverance is the key for any researcher. And once
Yes.
they have committed their lifetime to research, either anyways in industry or in academia, this is the
Yes.
only thing which they need, that never give up. You will
Yeah.
navigate the paths with all the understanding which you have there. So now, another topic which we started discussing now more in India, but globally it was there for quite a time, about the importance of mental health of researchers, like especially for PhD students or early research during their postdoctoral time, or even at early faculty stage. What you can share from your journey, and then what you can guide to the researchers who are in their different stages.
I think the most important thing is that every researcher or every PhD student, they should keep talking. Don't keep things to yourself. Keep talking to your fellow students. Like, I think these days everybody is into their phone, into technology. Because even in the lab, when I work these days, the new generation PhD student, I see that everybody has earpods in their ear and they're just doing their work. They're not interacting with anyone. But I remember when I was doing PhD, I was lucky. I had a very good friend circle because I had some students from Pakistan, some students from India, some from Sri Lanka, some from Malaysia, Thailand, Philippines, and Iran, and Indonesia. A lot of Asian students. A lot. So we all used to work in the same time in the lab, but we used to talk to each other even when we were working in the lab. We used to crack jokes at each other, make fun of each other, and there was a very good atmosphere when we used to work in the lab. And also, we all used to take time out, and we used to make sure that we all go to the tea room together, staff room together, and sit there at 10 o'clock and have coffee together. And maybe sometimes all we used to do is just gossip about our supervisors. Yeah, or maybe we used to share a office, so maybe we will get our coffee in our offices, in our common room, in our postgrad room, and we'll sit there and we'll talk about sometimes about our research and most of the times about our supervisors. how my supervisor didn't like my writing, how my supervisor has increased my workload, how my supervisor doesn't listen to me, how my supervisor is not giving me feedback on a written piece of work which I have submitted him for last 3 months or so. So we use, but when you do that, when you take regular breaks with your fellow PhD students, we used to have lunch together or morning tea or afternoon tea together. And when you discuss those things, then you know that you are not the only person who is facing these challenges. Or you get to see that, oh my goodness, his PhD is more challenging than mine. I was just thinking my experiments are not working, but thank goodness my supervisor, whatever I send him, he just sends me the comments next day. I don't have to wait for 3 months to get his suggestions on a draft. Or at least my supervisor reads whatever I sent him, not like her. Her supervisor just looks at the first page and just says, go back and write it again. And she doesn't know how to change the writing. He just says, rewrite. That's it. That's the only comment she will get. So then you realize that it happens with everyone. But if we don't talk to others, then we think that I'm the only person who is facing these challenges, or I'm a dumb person, or my supervisor is not good, and I may not be able to finish my PhD. But I think talking to others is more important. But I don't know, these days I find that a lot of students, they get stressed and they get depressed very early in their PhD. Then they have to go to a psychiatrist, and some of them end up in taking pills as well. So they are all on happy pills. They have to take regularly those pills to keep them, yeah, away from stress and um, depression.
No, I think this is very important thing which you mentioned about keep talking. We do in these conversation we talk about like how being vocal is one of the key skills you should have if you like to be in research, or even for people who are not researchers should have this, because you mentioned about how mm, it can make you feel good just by talking to some other others, and then knowing that they are facing higher and bigger challenges than yours. So you're like, okay,
Yes,
I'm like, probably my situation is not that bad and I can navigate through it. This is very
yes,
important, because no matter how, because even when now in India we start talking about like the role of therapy and going to counseling, getting that in some of the elite institutes, they do offer all these services to their PhD students, which is all
mm,
great. But as you mentioned, you they might not even need that if they are going to talk to their friends about
yes.
sharing their experiences, the stress they are going through. It can just get away with that. These are things, and then also at the end of the conversation, we always ask our celebrities that if you have any word of wisdom for the researchers.
How can I give word of wisdom? I'm still at a very young stage in my career, so I haven't got the wisdom myself. So how do I share that?
So
But
it is like what you have experienced, what worked for you the best, you can suggest that.
what works for me best is, don't get too much stressed about work. I like my work a lot and I feel really happy. I never see that, oh, it's Monday morning, I have to go to work. No, I love going to work. And in these many years, even if things don't work, even if I have challenges at work, but still I never feel that, oh no, it's Monday morning, I have to go to work. So I like my work a lot. Maybe it's the, because my role is versatile, because I do teaching, just as you, I do teaching as well as research. So our work is not mundane, because there's always new challenge to work with, because these days you know that for a researcher or for an academic, it's quite difficult to stay in your job. You have to look for funding to fund your work, to fund your salary, or to fund your student. So every now and then you have to keep looking for which funding application I need to apply, or how can I apply. And these days it has all become very competitive, because in my university or in other universities it might be, even the senior researchers who are about to retire, they are not retiring. they are still continuing their research. And those senior researchers, when they apply for any funding, they easily get that funding because they have so much of experience, so much of their name. Funders, when they see their name, they just give them money. They don't even, I don't think they don't even read their proposal, what they are proposing. If their name is there, whatever the idea is, okay, fund this person. But for people like us who are early career researchers, we have to apply for so many fundings in a year. So there are different challenges at work. So each day is quite different. Sometimes some equipment is not working in the lab, so you have to work through that. Some experiment is not working. A student is depressed, so you need to deal with that student's work is not working, so you need to figure out what's going wrong. New funding has been announced, so you have to apply for funding. You can't apply on your own because these days we have to collaborate, and it has to be interdisciplinary collaboration. So you can't have people from your own team. You need to look for, is there any sociologist who I can put in my team? Is there any economist who I can put in my? Is there any marketing people who I can collaborate with? Then in New Zealand we have the other thing that we need to include the indigenous people, the Maori people in our research. So we need to collaborate with local Maori population as well. So there's so many challenges, so many things which you need to incorporate. So every day there is a new mountain to climb. There's a new challenge. So that's what I like about being in research or being in academia. There is no money in it, but you come here just for your passion, or just
Yeah.
to work with the community or farming community, or just to do something good. How can I make a little change in this world? Yeah, with my work.
Absolutely. I think that's a brilliant thought, that how our research can make this planet better place to
That,
live in for
yes,
everyone else. With this note,
yes.
we'll say thank you so much, Dr. Neha, for sharing this journey. And I'm sure that there are so many students, researchers who can correlate with you and then now are more enthusiastic and passionate about the work they do. And to all the audience, I'll say that if you want to write to Dr. Neha, you can write to her directly. If you want Empowering Science Foundation to put you in touch with our researcher celebrities, we are there to support you. The only thing we want from you is the passion and dedication for research, and rest, networking, we can help you with that. Thank you so much, Dr. Neha.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Sorry if I have might have derailed from the topic, and I might be talking something entirely
It was
different. But
perfect. It was perfect. And we had fun in this, and I hope all the
yes,
audience will like it too. With
yes.
this, we'll say, audience, stay tuned for another episode of Researcher Celebrity.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank